And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson. 100%. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big Sean McCarthy.
Well, yes, we are back, and we had a night full of fights. We had the UFC coming to us from Las Vegas with the Apex Center, and then the big boxing match also in Vegas. Triple G taking on Canelo. It was about the way I thought. My man Josh Thompson was interested in all of it. He was there watching everything. Well, he wasn't there. He was just watching. So, what's up, my man?
I was actually going to fly out to watch the ADCCs because they're in Vegas this week.
Yeah, they are. Everything.
I was going to head out yesterday, but then I was like, maybe I'll fly out on Sunday and figure it all out. But regardless, I didn't end up going because it's just too much. When I don't have to travel, I don't want to travel. So I like road trips, John. I'm a road trip guy. By the way, road trips. I heard you did a nice little trip to Ohio, right? To pick up something. And yeah, at 4 a.m, decided to drive to Ohio with the trailer that had flat tires and bald and everything else. Did you did you find a different trailer?
Yeah, well, kind of, but I still had to. had to take the spare off of it and put the spare on. With it. They're giving you freaking trailers with fucking no tread, or even the cores are starting to show through. It's like, and you expect me to drive like 800 and some miles with this. Oh yeah,
no, they expect you to replace the tires. That's what they expect you to do.
Jesus Christ, it's a rental.
That's what they
it's a damn rental,
to do, buddy. They want you to leave, drive that thing, get a flat, and be stuck having to repair it. That's what they want. It's brilliant on their part.
It is tough, man. You take off in the morning. It's dark. Driving, it's dark forever. It seems like finally the sun comes up. It's like, yeah, feeling good. Finally get there. Spend a couple of hours, doing all the business stuff, learning stuff. Come back, trying to make it back before it's dark. No. A lot of time on the road, though. A lot of time on the road. But Ohio, in that area, beautiful.
Is it really?
Yeah, a lot of farmland. It's really nice. I like farms. I wonder why I say that.
That's all I think of when I think of Ohio. It's just cornfields and rice paddies. I don't even know if they have soybeans or whatever. Who knows? Look, John, the fights were okay. Just the trip from the Canelo and Triple G fight to the UFC fights, it just seemed like a very lackluster day of fights. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm gonna be honest, man. Cory Sandhagen looked like a fucking animal.
Okay,
Sandhagen looked like a fucking animal. And
Cory Sandhagen freaking showed how smart he is as a fighter.
I have a question though. Did he start to adopt, or did I just not ever really notice? Did he start to adopt a little bit of that Dom Cruz / TJ Dillashaw, the way they fight?
TJ Dillashaw?
Yeah, aren't they kind of the same?
Yeah, no.
No,
no one does things like Dom. Dom's got his own crazy.
Yeah,
TJ is more, it's a back and forth switching from orthodox to southpaw, but there's a rhythm to it. Dom's got no rhythm, and I'm not saying that in a bad way. It's his is completely awkward, and he'll do his bounce back, and then there's a rhythm to the way TJ kind of does it, and Cory's kind of got that same rhythm.
There's a Dom rhythm to the way that Dom does it.
Yeah, there is, but he's the only one that's got that rhythm.
Yeah,
he dances to his own music.
Well, when you create a style the way in which he created it, but I mean, I looked at Cory Sandhagen last night. He reminded me a lot of what TJ was doing, and the way he was kind of crouching down a little bit, kind of moving his body side to side. When he came off the wall, he'd switch his stance, hit it with the jab. He was being very creative. I didn't think that he had switched that much before. Am I wrong, or did I just not? I knew he switched stances, but I didn't think that he was switching a lot last night. He was changing up a lot of what I felt like he had done. He didn't throw as many head kicks as I thought he would have thrown, given that Song was a lot shorter. But he did a great job. The step-in elbows were key. Touch it, and look, when you're watching fighters throw elbows, you see people load up and really lunge in with them. There's no reason to. It doesn't take much when it's bone on that little eyebrow area.
Bone on bone.
Bone on the bridge of the nose, whatever it is. Just beautifully done. Sandhagen fought a very, very smart fight. When you want to talk about fight IQ, last night he showed a lot of it. Now, look, I know I've gotten a little bit of heat lately about fight IQ comments, but Cory Sandhagen yesterday showed absolute high level fight IQ. Just very patient. I had him lose in the first round, but then after that, he just took over.
Took off. Yep.
Yeah, once the cut happened and once things started, and it's very hard, John, once that cut happened and blood started getting into Song's eyes, and then he just started getting hit with more shots. The vision started to go away a little bit because it was blurry probably from the blood. And then on top of it, you've got your eyelid that's kind of just flopping around in front of you. Not fighters, but fans and people at home, you guys should understand, it's not like even when it's done bleeding, okay, or even when the cut man's done a great job fixing it, it's never done bleeding. I get it.
Well, and it's never fixed.
Yeah, once it's wide open, the fighter can feel that flap of skin, and also they can see it sometimes in that position of which his eye was, which that cut was.
He definitely can see it. Yeah, he sees the thing coming down. Yeah,
you can see it hanging over in front, so it really starts to affect you, and you really starts playing in your mind like, shit, how much worse can I let this thing get? That's one. How long until they stop it? Two. Then you start, there's a little bit of vein, a little vein in there. It's like, fuck, what's it going to look like when they fix it? Like, how bad is it going to be? Like, there's a lot of things that go through the fighter's mind. Will I have permanent eye damage? That's the number one thing. Like, and I know doctors are very, very good on stopping things in terms of cuts, not letting it go too far. But last night, right before that 5th round, I was like, if you let this thing go on, this is dangerously close to having like a droopy eye where his top eyelid started to hang down because it started to get into his eyelid.
And that's exactly the reason. And look, I'm nothing against the commentary and stuff. They were talking more about blood, and it's not the blood. It's the direction of the cut. And I thought the doctor did a really good job of allowing that thing to go. And what he's telling Herb is, look, if this thing starts to really change, and what he's talking about is it'll get what we call legs on it. The cut will spread, and it'll spread in a different direction, and it'll all of us start to become same as what you talk about, what you have up on top of your head, those nice star patterns looking like a Mercedes-Benz.
A la Tony Ferguson.
A la Tony Ferguson. But those, when you have those type of cuts that start to spread in different directions, it's not only the one big one, then you have these little legs that come off of it. That causes the doctors to have problems in stopping them. The other part is it's not a straight across the eyebrow cut. It's going through the eyebrow, which is crossing multiple muscular structures, which again makes it harder. And if you let it go too long and you don't sew it right, you'll actually affect the person's eye, and that droop can happen if you don't, take care of it the right way. So there's a lot of things going on, and I thought the doctor did a good job. I thought everyone, did a good job in trying to let that thing go as far as they could. It's just, hey, it's part of fighting. It was a legal blow. That is what, part of fighting is, that, if you can hurt someone to that point where they medically, are in a position where they've been compromised, then doctor says can't let it go anymore, you get the TKO win, and Cory Sandhagen deserved it.
This show is brought to you by MyBookie.ag. MyBookie.ag brings you some of the best betting odds across the world. Look, we had some great fights to bet on. Last night, you had Cory Sandhagen over Song Yadong. And of course, the Triple G and Canelo Alvarez fight. Hopefully, you guys put your money down on the right places at the right time at MyBookie.ag. Use that promo code WEIGHIN. Yeah, he looked great after that first round. I think he wanted to feel the power of Song Yadong. He wanted to see.
I think he did.
He felt. Yeah, he did. He did. I think nobody wants to feel the power, but they want to kind of get.
Yeah,
that
you want to see if you can. Yeah, well, let's see how much pop you have.
Yeah, see how much pop you have. See how fast you are at getting it there. I think that. Look, I think Song Yadong he's got a bright future. He's still young. What is he? 23, 24 years old. He seems very dedicated to the sport. He seems very dedicated to his focus on becoming champion.
24
years old.
I hate him.
Nah. What? Excuse me. No, excuse me.
At 24, you wouldn't be yawning.
No, I definitely. I'd probably still be out at the club though. By the way,
you double that age. Like you're just about at. See, you start.
What I want to see him do just a little bit is stop throwing such wide shots and start throwing a little bit more straight down the pipe. He
doesn't have to throw so hard.
I think that's just how he throws, John.
I do think it's just how he throws, but he has enough pop. You look at 135 pounds. Not everyone can just one shot knock you out. It's a volume attack. He can one shot knock you out. And when you have that kind of power, you don't have to try to throw it hard for it to be hard. You just have to throw it. And like you're saying, just touch him. Keep on touching him. And eventually you're going to be throwing one that touches the right spot and it's got the, enough power on it. Just the way you naturally throw, it's going to put the person out.
Yeah, I used to say that to Gray Maynard when he was training with us at AKA. I was like, man, you don't need to load up. You don't need to chase after me. I'm going to come to you. When I come to you, just let it go and relax and throw it. Because, man, he was probably the hardest hitter that I ever sparred with or worked with. That guy he could crack. I was like, ugh. I hated fucking sparring him. He could, because I don't think in my whole career, I'm pretty positive. I never got a fucking takedown on that motherfucker. He was so damn good. He's shorter, a little bit, but just super strong and big crack. And it was horrible to spar with that guy. But so with Song, he just start throwing a little bit more straighter punches. Don't load up as much. Let the hands go smoothly because, like you said, it's the ones where you're real relaxed, where it comes out very smooth and you don't feel it land. Those are the ones that put people away. Yep. Those are the ones that knock you out. Now, Cory did a great job of switching stances, mixing it up, changing the push kick up the middle,
changing
the
levels.
Nice jab. He switched the jab when he was switching stances. He was utilizing both sides of the jab, not just one. Changing levels. He really got Song going in that first round, defending the takedown. I mean, Song looked fantastic on the takedown defense. Just spectacular.
But as Cory was shooting in for those takedowns right away, I was like, I think he's trying to just, let me get his arms tired. I know the guy hits hard. Let me put some blood in there. Let me make these things a little bit heavy real quick. See if I can start to tire him down. And he even said it at the end in his interview. He goes, look, it wasn't so much about taking him down. The takedown attempts weren't so much about taking him down. And that's what he means. It's about putting it in his mind. Hey, I will work towards taking you down. So now I have to at least think about it and compensate for it. And the fact that I can get those arms underneath having to hold my weight, I can get some blood in there and slow him down a little bit.
Yeah, he threatened him quite a bit in that first round. Then he got away from him a little bit in the second. I think he shot one or two in the second. Then he just continued to shoot. It just kept reminding him every round that they were there. But this goes with fight IQ. And like you were saying, is that he doesn't need to get the takedowns. The majority of people that when you guys shoot your takedowns, young fighters, you guys don't need to get them. Just work it back up to the body lock, work it back up to the clinch, press to the fence, or circle off, let the combination go. Make them work until you are not in an advantage position anymore. If you're not in that position of the double unders or a good clean press against the fence, if you feel like you're starting to lose a position, then go ahead and make your space and circle out and let the hands go a little bit. I thought it was a fantastic performance by both, to be honest. Song, I know the cut really, really distracted him as the fight went on, and it started getting bigger. The blood started pulling up, and all of those things have a major effect on you mentally. He wasn't throwing as much. He wasn't coming forward as much. It really changed the dynamic of the fight. But Cory, got to tip your hat, man. You did a great job, great performance. And what you're going to find is that's the way that guys like Cory, who are tall, long, lanky, not a whole lot of muscle. He's not fit. He's even said himself, I'm not physically strong. He doesn't have like that one punch knockout power, but he can chain things together. He's a problem, man. He's going to be a problem for a lot of people. Now, he was easy to take down. Like Song took him down on the caught the kick and then took him down. He's comfortable fighting off of his back. He's going to have a hard time with like people like Aljo, who he's already fought, but he's going to have a hard time with people like him. People that are good on that top position and wrestle really well. I think, the fight with him and TJ, he fought a great fight, but he's going to continue to have problems with guys that can that their main focus is takedowns and wrestling and that top dominant position in jiu-jitsu. Those are the kind of guys he'll continue to have problems with. On the feet, it's going to be tough for most fighters to fight him on the feet. He's nasty good. He's nasty good.
He's outstanding. And I even think that, I think his wrestling defense is actually really good because you're talking about, Song he's a good wrestler.
Yeah.
And he had his times when he tried to kind of went away from the ground attack a little bit, went away from trying to get the takedowns and stuff. But, you're right. Aljo can be a problem because he's always going to be looking for it. That's where, that's his bread and butter is the ground. And so Cory's going to have to work at, okay, how do I stop his style of takedown and what he does? But overall, if you're coming out of Cory Sandhagen's, camp, you're going, dude, A plus performance, just outstanding. And like you said, Yadong Song, you can't take anything away. Yes, I think the cut eventually with the blood and everything started to get to him, but a really good performance, and really, in my opinion, didn't lose any ground at all. He showed how good he is, showed exactly why he belongs up in that top. And again, we talk about the bantamweights. Damn, the bantamweights are just a pack of killers. We're talking some of the what we consider the best weight class right now in MMA overall, and just unbelievable, how good all of these guys are.
Yeah. So look, the fight to make right now, and there's no secret. I said this a couple weeks back. I said if after Chito had won, I said if Cory Sandhagen gets past, I said that's the fight to make. I'd like to see the Chito and Sandhagen fight. I'd love to see that fight. That's the fight to make. See,
but if you want to test Cory and say, okay, like you're saying, I think your wrestling is going to be your downfall when it comes to Aljo. Well, then go against his teammate. Go against Merab.
That's
true. That is a troublemaker when it comes to the takedown. So
yeah,
it just depends on what you want.
That's true. This is very true. I mean, either way, Merab's going to be a tough fight for him. For anybody.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, if I'm being very selfish when I say I want to see the Cory Sandhagen Chito Vera fight.
I don't blame you.
But then again, I want to see Merab fight somebody, a little bit tougher. I want to see him fight a Chito, or I want to see him fight a Cory Sandhagen. I think the fight with him and Aldo was a good fight. I think, but he was just the speed, the wrestling, the threat of the wrestling, all those things really stunted what Jose Aldo was going to do. Jose was comfortable just stuffing the takedowns and not letting anything else go. And I don't think you're going to get that from Chito Vera. You're not going to get that from Cory Sandhagen. They're going to be active. They're going to be pushing. They're going to be trying to, and that some of that might be with age. Who knows? Even though Aldo's not an old person, he's been in the game a long time, and you start just, you don't know if you want to do it anymore. But overall, good fight. The fight to make, like I said, to me is the Sandhagen and Chito fight, and I think the winner of that fight's the winner of TJ Dillashaw and Aljamain Sterling. I mean, what about Peter Yan and Merab?
Well, Peter Yan's got to get through Sean O'Malley first.
Yeah,
it's it's a matter of I think Merab against Peter Yan is a great fight. It'll say a lot about what's going on in that. But there's a lot of, there's still great fights. I would love to see, I know they're both coming off of losses, and that's why I would like to see it. I'd like to see Dominic Cruz and Aldo. I think that's a great fight. That's the fight that should happen, with the, ex-featherweight against the ex-bantamweight champion and stuff. I don't know if it's going to put anyone up in any situation off of it, but it's a fight I'd like to see.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm still looking for the Frankie Edgar Dominic Cruz fight. I'm still looking for
that one's good too.
That's a good fight for me. All right, well, the co-main event was Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and Gregory Rodriguez.
Yeah.
John, Dave, will you pull up this cut, please? Can you pull up this cut?
Yeah, I'm gonna send it.
Jesus,
to my mic right now.
He's gonna try.
My
it's a beautiful
goodness. Thing. Oh my goodness! Now I have a question, John. There's that vein that
you go, baby.
That went right between
that's
his.
The troublemaker. Well, growing up as a kid, cereal was one of the best things going, but it was not the healthiest thing. But that has all changed now because Magic Spoon is here. And I swear to you, it is fantastic. The flavors are outstanding. I eat it all the time. I order it all the time. Magic Spoon is the way to go because we're talking about having a cereal that is not full of sugars. It's protein. It has none of the grains or anything that you want. It is keto friendly. And Josh, I know that you have been using it with your kids and they love it.
They absolutely love it. They love the frosted one, like kind of like your hair has a little frosty tips in the beard and everywhere else.
A lot of frost.
Look, they come with a variety pack. 4 flavors are cocoa, fruity, frosted, and peanut butter. John, you also saw the s'mores, right?
What do you mean saw? I still eat. Oh, it's wrong side.
Devours them.
Devours them. The s'mores are fantastic.
These packs have 0 gram of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and only 4 net grams of carbs, only 140 calories a serving. It's keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, and low-carb. Look, guys, go to magicspoon.com/weighing-in. Use our promo code weighing-in. You guys, this stuff is fantastic. The kids will chew it up, eat it up. You can eat it dry. You can have it with milk. You can have it with oat milk. You can have it with soy milk. You can have it with whatever you want. Almond milk. You can have whatever you want with it. It is a healthy choice for your kids, you as well. If you guys are interested in eating Magic Spoon in the morning, go to magicspoon.com/weighing-in.
And we want to thank Magic Spoon for sponsoring this episode. Notice how that did not split. And if it did, Gregory Rodriguez would not have won the fight because what would have been happening is the blood with every pump of the heart would have been spitting out. And with that spit out, because that's an arterial vein, and that would have caused him some problems in that it would have been a lot more blood than what we had. And you had a lot of blood. And it would have caused a lot more problems. And so he was very lucky that vein stayed intact. And you can see it in the cut. You know, this is what you see all the time when you're, in the cage and stuff, and you see these things. And now that's cleared out a little bit, but you'll see, as you're looking at things saying, how bad is that? I thought, again, the doctor did a great job. There you go. Look at that beautiful thing. But now notice see that leg going up.
Yeah.
It's not so much that flat across the brow. It's when now you start to get those 2 different flaps based upon that cut starting to go up. Look at the one off to the side, as you go up and you see that split again with 2 legs. That's where, doctors are going, I can't let this go. That's where fights are stopped. When you get those legs running in different directions, the skin gets to the point where it can be caught by a punch, an elbow, or anything, and just tear. And that's what they get concerned with.
John, if I was the doctor and I opened up his forehead and saw that vein,
you'd throw up right inside
it. I would have just been like, buddy, you're fucking done. I would have stopped that fucking fight so fast.
Yeah.
Because now, I wonder what kind of damage that causes once that thing breaks. I mean, how do they mend that thing back together?
Well, that's going to be one where I'm not going to say exactly how many stitches it's going to take, but there will be internal stitches, meaning there's stitches inside that they're going to do to close it up from the inside, and then you'll have the stitches on the outside also. So I'm going to tell you that cut probably is going to be somewhere in the area of 35 to 40 stitches overall.
You think so?
It's a lot. Oh, yeah. Yeah, especially in Vegas, they usually go to Dr. Who for he's a plastic surgeon and he does unbelievable work with guys, and he's so good at what he does and knowing how to close that the right way so it doesn't cause him a problem with a lot of scar tissue in the later on in his career. So we'll see what happens, but yeah, he's going to be out for a while with that cut.
Do you know how they fixed what about that vein? If that vein would have busted, how do they fix the vein?
It's the same way. They stitch it.
Stitch it?
They either stitch it or it closes on its own after being compressed for a while.
Ugh. Yep. It just that looked like a fucking rope in there that just was dangling.
It's like an earthworm.
It was like a cable. It would look exactly. You were very fucking true. It looked like an earthworm. You're digging a hole, and all you saw was like just a little section of the earthworm.
Yeah, the only difference is that one doesn't wiggle.
Oh man. There was parts of me threw up in my mouth. Now let's talk about the fight.
You know what? It's funny. I swear to God, because this is, when you're a referee, you see all these, and you see some bad ones. And I've talked to you about, some of the ones. I had that one. It was like the 20-second fight where it was the worst thing I had ever seen. 3 cuts, three blows, 3 cuts, 1 above, 1 below, and 1 crossing right across them, and shit's hanging everywhere. And you look and you go, that is fantastic. And you get so used to looking at them, you don't get grossed out by them. It's just like, wow, look at that one. That one's great. Wow. It's a little weird.
I don't get like Kane Musa had a bad one. Marvin Eastman had that bad one. I don't get grossed out by things like that.
Yeah.
Okay, the one that Song Yadong had, it doesn't bother me. Like those don't bother me. It's when I saw the vein though, and I was
saw
like
something inside. It's like, oh, that's it.
I was like, that's fucking disgusting. That's
yeah. Well, actually, and you'll get the ones that'll say, oh, you can see the skull. You can't actually see the skull, but you'll see there's a, what do they call it? It's a fibrous, white thing that it does. It looks like the skull, and it's like, no, it's not the skull, but it's close. But I have seen ones that you see the skull.
Like I've seen like when I've split like when you get a cut real deep and it looks like you can see part of the bone because it's not even bleeding. It's cut so deep it's not even bleeding. It's just white.
Yep,
I've seen that. Yeah. Just, anyways, look, but this fight was. He earned his lane. He earned his name last night. RoboCop.
Boy, he did.
He took some big shots.
Think about it, Josh. That knee hit him right. Obviously, it hit him right between the eyes. Right between the eyes, as you could hear it, and he took it.
Yeah,
I was like, God damn, man, that was impressive. It's not. It was impressive as far as the knee thrown by Chidi, and you talk about Rodriguez being able to take that shot and not go down, not go out. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Chidi did some things though in that exchange. After he rocked him, he smothered himself a little bit, got a little overzealous. He kind of kept himself from really landing the clean shots. Gregory did a great job of closing the distance, getting to the clinch, able to keep him compressed, slow the pace of the fight down. I thought he did a great job of just containing what Chidi was good at. Chidi's good in the distance. He's fast. You could tell the speed was a factor right off the bat. That Chidi was the faster fighter. He was craftier too on the feet. But when someone that can take a shot like Rodriguez, he can not only take a shot, but he can deliver them.
Yep. You
saw the look on Chidi's face when he got actually hit clean for the first time. He's like, oh shit, this guy's hurt and he's still fucking able hitting me like this. This is not good. And so I think he realized, like, man, this is not where I want to be. I don't want to be up in this clinch. But he kept putting himself back in that clinch. And I was like, get out of there. Keep your distance. Stay the range. I was yelling at the TV because, we've known Chidi for a long time, and his brother as well.
Anthony.
And, both very talented fighters, both very good, on the feet, very good opening up their games in terms of takedown defense as well as, getting out of those situations. He got taken down a couple times last night. He got taken down that one time, was able to pop right back up to his feet from the whizzer. Fantastic job. He did some really good things. But as he got tired, you saw him start to wilt a little bit. Like, oh man, this is way more wrestling than I wanted to do.
Yeah, well, and we've seen it in the past with him. And Chidi is a fast twitch muscle fiber athlete.
Yeah,
that's why he's got speed and he's got snap on his shots and everything. But we've seen that he does get tired quick, especially when you get into grappling exchanges. And it's what happened in this one. He got tired. It wasn't so much that he got hurt. He got hit, but he got tired. And when he ended up underneath, Gregory Rodriguez on the ground, it wasn't that he was getting hurt. He was just exhausted. And so he's laying there, covering up because he's tired. He can't do anything else. He's exhausted. His arms are full of, blood. They feel like they're, 500 pounds each as he's trying to move them. It's just what happens. This is the fighter that we've seen, in the past with Chidi. He's super explosive. He gets those quick knockouts. He has, these dynamic fights. And they'll have ones like this where man, he looks great. He hurts his opponent, but they hang in there, and they're able to just keep wearing on him. And that as far as wearing on him, it just gasses him to the point where he's not effective being offensive, and he starts just trying to defend, and then you're not fighting.
Overall, though, I mean, I thought it was a good performance by both fighters. I know Rodriguez came out on top. I don't think Chitty lost any. I don't think he lost any ground in this fight. He showed a lot of heart. He did a lot of good things. He just got exhausted, man. They were fighting at a pace in that first round. It was just like, oh Jesus, once you stop is when you realize how tired you are. Frank Shamrock used to say that to me all the time.
Yeah, it's at the end of the round.
Once you stop moving, he's like, sometimes he's like, when the round stops, he's like, that's when you find out how fucking exhausted you are. He's like, I hate you. That's why he always wanted to fight the first round, 10 rounds or 10 minutes.
10 minutes, yeah.
He loved the 10-minute round. He's like, he's like 3/4 of the fight is over. He's like, I only got one more 5-minute round left. He's like, fuck it, I'm good.
Frank was one of those guys when we were talking about making different changes in the UFC at the time with rounds and stuff. He goes, I want a 10-minute round. It's like,
yeah,
can't do it. Can't do the 10 in the fight. It doesn't make sense. We're going to do fight. No, it's bullshit, right?
Yeah.
It's like, well, not everyone's you.
He was that guy. He was somebody that he wanted to push everybody to the point of breaking.
Yep.
He didn't care. He knew that he wasn't the most technical. He definitely wasn't the best stand-up guy. He definitely wasn't the best wrestler. He had no fucking wrestling at all. And submission-wise, he was good, but he wasn't great. He was good. But he just was the guy that just would talk into your ear. He would touch you, would make fun of you. He would have a conversation with you.
He talked the entire fight.
Yes.
The entire fight.
And every person that I have ever fought that talked to me, except for Nate, just drove me nuts. Because at the time, I didn't realize they would talk to me. So it just threw me off. And I've said this I don't know how many times. And when I would train with Frank, the same thing. Come on. Oh, Josh, don't do that. Oh, Josh, don't do this. Josh, you're putting yourself in a bad position. Oh, like even when he was getting fucking submitted, I had him deep in triangles. And he was about to he'd go to sleep every single time. It didn't matter. He'd pass out. He'd go to sleep.
Yeah.
And he didn't care. He'd be talking shit to you. You couldn't even understand what he was saying. He was mumbling.
That's tight. That's tight. Not tight.
Yeah. He was mumbling into your crotch. His fucking it felt like you were getting a Hummer down there.
Give you a little vibration.
All the vibrations and the mumbling, man. But I mean, he was a dog, man. He was a different animal. People, I don't think he gets the respect he deserves.
No, he doesn't.
When it comes to the fight game, like he was just a different animal and just way ahead of his time when it came to the conditioning, the cardio. He was, I felt like he was the first fighter that really took fighting serious with the conditioning. I know these other fighters, they did. I get it. But like he took it to the next level of, I need to be on the track running sprints. Oh, I need to be on the machine every night doing more sprints. I got to be doing my long distance run. I got to be training twice a day, one on the mitts, one in the afternoon with the fighters. Like he took it to a whole nother level. I mean, like I know that there was lots of fighters before him that were extremely talented. He just somebody that had a really good focus between Maurice Smith, Javier Mendez, and himself and other coaches that came and went.
Yep.
He really found the weakness of MMA at the time, which was conditioning and cardio.
Absolutely.
That was
he realized that you could weaponize your cardiovascular system. You could make it to where you may not be the biggest, you may not be the strongest, you may not be the better fighter, but if you could push your opponent to a pace that they could not maintain, you could make it an easy fight and push them over the edge. He did it all the time, And he had some incredible fights. If you go back, Enson Inoue, go back to that fight that he had in Japan with Enson Inoue. It was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I think where Frank really started to change as a fighter, he fought John Lober the first time, fought him in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And he did get tired because he wasn't that guy at the time. He was lazy, just being honest. He would go and fight. He wouldn't train. And he would go and he would win because he was athletic and he was, able to, come up with a submission. And then John Lober, that fight, he got his tooth knocked out. He got beat up, and he got beat up by a guy that made him tired and got on top of him, and he couldn't get rid of him. And it changed him as a fighter. And, he came back, he fought John Lober again. And you want to talk about talking to somebody during a fight. I can tell you that he was saying stuff to John Lober that I was like, oh, that's just dead wrong, man. Anyway, and he was also saying stuff like, go ahead and tap, because I'm just going to beat on you. I will not submit you. I'm going to beat on you until you give in and everyone sees you give in, right? Yeah. I was like, oh, man, that's just wrong.
The classic video is of him and Boss Rutten. I believe that was his very first fight ever was against Boss Rutten. How fun?
It was his first fight ever, but the one you're talking about was a rematch.
Oh, it was the rematch?
Yeah, that was a rematch. But his very first fight ever was Boss Rutten in Japan.
That's gotta suck. He beat Boss, correct?
Yes, he did.
In his very first fight. And then he lost the second one where he was getting hit. He just kept smiling at him when they were in leg lock positions and taking the open palm to the face.
Yeah.
Jeez, man. Just, like I said, he was cut from a different cloth. Some of the stories I have about him in the AK gym, man. I remember some kid had tried stealing a T-shirt, out of the back thing. We had a back storage room, and the kid was back there asking about T-shirts, and Frank had turned his back to go look. Okay, I'm gonna try to find you that medium, and the kid tried to snake a T-shirt and put it in his pants. Frank saw it and fucking just beat the shit out of him. Like, just rolled him up on the ground, rolled him on the back, and then booted him out. Said, "Don't ever come back." I was like, "Oh shit, man!"
Kept you from stealing a T-shirt.
Oh yeah, I came to AK almost like it was like slightly before his second John Lober fight. Okay. And and it was one of those. He was laser focused on getting that win, just the training, the preparation, the guys he would come in, look like he was dog dead tired, like to work out and train in the evenings. He was just a different level, man. I remember there was one time we were training and he had eaten a tuna egg salad or something like that, sandwich before he came. He was grappling, exhausted, rolled over, threw up on the mat, scooted over a little bit, and then just kept rolling. He's like, all right. He's like, yeah. And then afterwards, whoever, he had the guy he was training with at the time rolling up. He's like, hey, go clean that up for me. Guy went over and cleaned it up for him. I was like,
that's bad. Yep. No thanks.
So, all right. Well, hey, let's talk about the next fight. Let's go ahead and go to the next fight.
Andre Fili against Bill Algeo. And man, I'll tell you what, I enjoyed this fight. And I thought Andre's one of those guys you just never know what you're going to get, because he's talented and he's got, speed. He's got power. He's got a good ground game. He's got good wrestling. He's got it all. But there's times when all of a sudden his chin's out there and he gets touched and he gets hurt. And you looked at Algeo saying, man, he's been coming off of some good performances. He's got that weird karate style, kind of like a little bit of the Wonder Boy, bounce back and forth. Is that a style that's going to give, Fili problems? I thought Fili fought a great fight. I know that it was a split decision. There's no way in the world it should have been a split decision. I thought that, Andre clearly, how in the world are you going to sit there and tell me that a guy throwing punches back is going to give him the round, while he's, trying to work off of chokes and things at times? It's like, have we lost our minds? But at least the right guy won. Andre Fili, I don't care if it's a split decision or not. Andre deserved the fight. He got the fight. And, but it was a great performance by both guys.
A lot of emotion, I think, for him. Thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family. I can't imagine how tough that is. It's not, I think when you're dealing with anything to do with family, children, it's something that just either really motivates you or it
crushes you.
It crushes you.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. Like I've told this story a couple of times. Not the details of it all. I'm going to keep that with me. But, my dad passed away, about 2.5 weeks before I fought the Dwayne Ludwig fight. And it's just it's something different. You you're not worried about anything else but just getting to the fight, getting the win, and you're just thinking about that person. You're thinking about, what you need to do to get this win, get through this, and then you can mourn, I think, with your family afterwards. But you know that you need to get through it. Like for me, I knew my dad, he loved that I was a fighter. He loved it. He was all about it. Now dealing with the child being, never met this child, never knew the opportunity of which, was going to present itself, and how all the joy and the happiness he probably would have felt, or he was going to feel. I mean, that's the unknown is more, I think, for him. But for him to come out and deliver a performance like he did, and he had a lot to say at the press conference about the judging, and he has a right to be that way. And I feel the same way you do. I think there is no way that you're gonna score these, as much as me being on your back in a finishing position. It's not the same. These little tiny shots, these are not real heavy shots. Sure, maybe they sound good. Okay, but remember this. The leg kicks that sound good, they don't hurt.
Yeah, they're not the ones that do the damage.
The ones that do the damage are the ones that they don't make any noise.
Thud.
The thud noise. They make a thud. And you very rarely hear them. It's just, by their reaction on their face that shit hurt. This is not one of those situations. Those little tiny, that's like, John, you like to break it down. These little wrist shots is like lowest on the totem pole. A little bit of the hammer fist, a little bit higher on the totem pole. And then the elbow behind the wrist and the fist, those are the power shots. That's not what this was. And so it was so weird for me to hear the judging on that. And I was like, split. As soon as they said split, I'm like, oh shit, he's going to lose. He's going to lose. Yeah, and it just threw me off.
Surprised.
But like you said, ultimately at the end of the day, the right person won. And, he gets to go home and spend some time with his family. So that's good for him. Good for him. Congratulations to Feely. Yeah. Next fight.
Well, the guy that Dana White is very high on, and from what I heard, helped him with getting a place to live and stuff. So good for Dana in that. Joseph Pfeiffer against Alan Amadovsky, a guy who's had nothing but problems coming into the UFC. Amadovsky fought in a couple different places, fought in Bellator. He was undefeated for a while. Took one loss, went to the UFC, and from that point, he's had problems. He's not fighting the same way. You can see there's no confidence in the way he's fighting. He used to really be confident in his hands, and he would throw big, powerful shots and come forward. He's not doing that anymore. Completely different fighter. Now, it may be because of the way he looked at, Joseph Pfeiffer as a fighter, but I really don't think so. I just think right now, Pfeiffer is a guy who's on his way up, and Amadovsky is a guy who's going to have to figure out what he's going to do. Either you got to change what you're doing in the fight game, or you're going to have to just step away from it because it's not going to work with what you're doing. But Pfeiffer landed the big shot. And I know that, the commentators said that, he's out and stuff. When you have a guy, he did go down, no doubt about it. He got hit on the ear. He's hurt, but he's looking straight up at his opponent. He knows where he's at. And they said Pfeiffer didn't even have to land the last blow. No, when you got a guy that's looking straight up at you the way he was, I understand why Pfeiffer went after him again. He needed to. That's, his job to finish the fight. And a nice performance by him. Happy birthday to him. I hope he got the 50,000. I don't know if he did or not. I didn't look into that stuff, but good fight for him to come out and off of the Dana White series and stuff. So,
yeah, I think that. Is that your AC?
Yeah,
I can hear you. It's hot. Yeah. It must be hot in Tennessee, huh?
There's your bonuses, John.
Huh?
Who's your point?
John, there's the bonuses right there.
Performance. You got it. All right.
Got it.
Good for him, man.
Good for him. 50 That's G's, funny. Baby. 50
G's. That's good. Good for him, man.
I guess for me, with I'm going to talk about the Dana White situation where he said, he said he gave him some money, and this. I've got another story for you guys because I was supposed to fight in the UFC for almost a year. It was almost 2 years. I kept getting injured, kept getting hurt before my first fight. And talking about Frank Shamrock, I was a week away from fighting Joao Perini at UFC 37.5. And I was supposed to fight him there. And Frank, in my last sparring session, Spiro was me right in my spine. and it pinches a nerve in my spine. I couldn't fucking walk. I couldn't sit. It was like a sharp pain all the way down to my foot, from my middle of my back all the way down my right leg, all the way down into my fucking, all the way down into my foot. It was
Thank you for nothing, Frank.
Yeah, thank you, buddy. Thank you. That would have been one of my easiest fights of my career, because Joao came. He came and trained with us. Like after that fight got canceled, he came and trained with us, and it was not pretty for him. And it was during that time I went out for one of the fights because Kelly Delonte ended up taking Kelly Delonte ended up taking another fight for me right after that because I was still injured. They had me lined up to fight Matt Serra. It was like a month or two later. And I went out there and I was still having problems with it. Like a month or two later, I'm still having a problem with that nerve in my back. And so Dana, he's like, hey, what's going on with you? We signed you, fucking 9 months ago, a year ago, and you haven't fought yet. What are we doing with you? And I'm like, and I explained to him what happened. He sent me to every fucking doctor he could send me to in Vegas. I spent like 3 days going to some wizard doctor who was like massaging my cheek jaws and, and underneath my neck here. He was like rubbing here, and he did a full therapy on my body, like did my feet, did my arms. He worked my whole body. That
was Dr. Steve.
Was it?
Dr. Steve, the witch doctor.
Yes, they call him the witch doctor. Yeah. So he sent me to him. He was fantastic. I did notice a little bit of a difference, and people want to make fun of, but some of his stuff worked, man. It definitely made that position in my back, the nerve in my back, kind of less inflamed. And then I went to what are they called? The people that poke you with needles,
acupuncturist.
I went there. Then he took me to a massage therapist. Went there and just worked around. Like he sent me everywhere. Now I never got any money, but that's a lot of money that he was sending me to go do things with. And that, I think, what he likes to do is he knows that people need to get their foot in the door. They need to have a little stability to get themselves in that, like to have the confidence to continue to work out hard, train hard, believe in what they're doing. When the president of the UFC, whatever you want to call Dana White, he's the promoter, he's the boss. You're looking and going, when this guy's helping me along, they have something planned for me. They believe in what I'm doing.
He believes in me.
He believes in me. Yeah. And if this guy believes in me, then all I have to do is go out there and do my job. All I have to do is go out there and win. And that's a big confidence boost for a lot of these young fighters. I mean, I know for me it was, and I can imagine it was for him. And I think the Dana White gets shit on a lot for a lot of things. But in these type of situations, I have nothing but great things to say about him. Like, there was a lot, like I said, I was emotionally going through at that time, not having fought for a year. Once you were signed with the UFC, back then you were allowed to fight outside the UFC because there wasn't a lot of shows every year. But if you fought and you lost, you were cut. Automatically you were cut. So, and I hadn't even fought yet, but I needed money. And so when he was paying for all these things, like, go to this doctor, I've got to tip my hat to him. I got to thank him and those type of things, because in that position, when you're a young fighter, you have no money. I remember the first couple, until I got signed with the UFC, I remember Bob Cook was paying for me to eat at Jack in the Box at the end, after training at night. I'd go get the chicken fajita pitas. Yeah. And that was for almost a year and a half, 2 years. He was paying for me to go eat with him every single night. He never once asked me for money back. I know he got it back in management fees later on, but it was he never once asked me, and he let me crash on his couch a bunch of times, and I went a lot of places with him, man, on his dime, and he was great for that. But Dana for young fighters, if he believes in you or he sees something in you, it's a huge confidence boost, John. I mean, he doesn't get enough credit for those type of things. That had to be said, man.
No, and it was looking at Joe Pfeiffer. Hey, this guy, he's got power in his hands. He obviously he can crack. He looks athletic. We're gonna see what he can do. The guys that he's training with out in Philadelphia, look at they got something going. But we'll talk about one of those guys a little bit later on. But nice win for Joe Pfeiffer. Continue on. And it was good that he got the $50,000 bonus for his birthday. I like that. That was a good one.
I love when they get these guys on from Philadelphia and you've got Paul Felder calling the fights. because the reason why I love it though is because he gives a little bit of extra insight.
Yep.
And one of the hardest things to not do, or one of the hardest things is to not be biased.
Yeah, because you're always biased.
I'm extremely biased.
Paul does not become the complete homer. He's a semi-homer. Which
he's not.
He is. He's a semi-homer.
I don't know.
He is.
Look, he is.
He's sitting there saying, "Look, these guys are great. I train with them and stuff, and that's showing. Yeah, I have a association with these guys, and I really like them, and this is where I came from. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with it, because he's putting it out there. Hey, I trained with these guys. That's the way it is. And when they do something good, he's saying it. When something's going bad for him, let's be honest. Let's talk about the Pat Sabatini fight then right now against Damon Jackson. I'm going to tell you right now, going into that fight, I thought Pat Sabatini was going to win that fight. No doubt about it.
We talked about it on Tuesday. I thought Sabatini was going to grin and bear it and get to the second, third round and put it on him.
And I thought because of, Damon Jackson's very good on the ground. Sabatini's really good on the ground. So I said, well, it's a cancel out. Now it comes down to speed and everything. And I thought the speed of Sabatini. Damon Jackson had something on the outside happen too. You talk about having emotion going into a fight. You talk about, going out there with, just a mindset of, I will not lose. I am going to win this fight. And I'm going to win it for my brother. Look, he came up with that kick up the middle that hurt Sabatini. You could see right away. I said, "Oh, he's hurt." And as he was trying for the takedown, you could see because he had no legs and everything. And Damon Jackson, congratulations for a beautiful win. I am so sorry about your brother, but goddamn, you honored him with what you do against a guy that is a stud. And Paul Felder was talking Sabatini up, and he should. He's that good. This is a guy that, man, he's really got, what it takes to be in the top, 10 of the UFC easy. And he got beat, by a guy who had something to fight for.
Like I said earlier, there's a laser focus when you're going through something like that, is that everything else around you is drowned out. You're not worried about, so-and-so's asking me for tickets, or, where am I going to get this? But I'm going to go back to the Dwayne Ludwig thing with my dad. But then on top of that night I woke up fucking sick. So I had Josh Koscheck, and I will always remember this. I woke up in the morning at 6 a.m. calling Bob Cook going, I'm fucking sick. And Bob wasn't in town yet. Or he was across town, I should say. And he goes, okay, Koscheck said, I called up Koss. He's going to bring you a bunch of stuff. Josh Koscheck at 6:30 in the morning is bringing me fucking that nasal Afrin. Yeah, like the nasal spray. Brought me some.
Clear you up, baby.
Yeah, he brought me some Tylenol. He brought me all this shit to fucking clean me out, and it worked. But that whole, I woke up. Dad passed. A couple weeks before, 2 weeks before. Just woke up that morning sick. There was nothing stopping me from winning that fight. Jackson seemed very focused, laser focused on what to do. Top dominant position. As soon as that fight hit the ground, it was fucking over. He controlled every position. Hips in, controlled. It wasn't overpowering, letting Sabatini roll to the position that he needed him to roll to control that top position, flatten him out, and just let it go. It was a very, very great performance by him.
Yeah.
And like I said, we as fighters, all athletes, they sometimes let the outside noise get in. And when they do, it affects everything they do. When you are laser focused and you're just nothing but winning, nothing but on how to win, whatever it takes, you get performances like that. And that was a great performance. There's nothing I can say. It was such a short fight, but just the way he controlled it, he didn't rush situations. When he hit him with the push kick up the middle, he didn't flurry too much and leave himself out of position. He did a great job. And, and it's always hard to go into a fight like that. It can never be easy. It's never, but that's not the point. The point is for him he knew what he had to do. He knew that, there's nothing that he could change between now and the fight. And so fight the fight. And then now this is your moment. You saw his mom. I don't know if that was his sister, or if that was his wife. But whoever was with mom, you could tell that they were just like, hey, now we can move on from the fight and start being together as a family and mourn together, which was the most important thing. So congratulations to Jackson on the great win, great performance. Nicely done. But no, you're not going to skip over Fluffy Hernandez.
Oh, no, I got to go back up to him.
Thank
That's the
you.
whole point.
Thank you.
No,
you're not going to skip.
Anthony Fluffy Hernandez against Marc-Andre Barrio. Man, Anthony Hernandez he's a tough dude, man. Marc-Andre he's a brawler. He's durable. He's strong. He never stops, never gives in. Man, he didn't win 1 second of that fight. Anthony Hernandez was just all over him throughout that, beat him up, put him in bad positions, just continued to work. And you saw how, Marc-Andre would start to work his way out of things, and Anthony Hernandez just flows right into the next position to hold him where he wants and to now actually advance his position. Just everything he's doing. They got a winner in Hernandez here. They got a winner.
John, you know what they got? That division's got a fucking problem on their hands. Yeah. That's what they've got.
Dude.
This kid, he wasn't even breathing heavy.
No.
He was like, whatever, I'm good. Fluffy, I mean, I love the name. Even though I can't remember.
He ain't fluffy at all.
He ain't fluffy anymore. He is... I mean, to be honest, man, he's one of my new favorite fighters. I love watching him fight. He comes forward. His stand-up looks cleaner now than when he fought last time.
Yeah.
And then on top of it, his transitions, like you said, he'd get the takedown. He'd let him work kind of back up to his feet, but he was always following him with his hands locked, then back with a lift and back down and the mat return. Beautifully done. Dominant performance. He won, like you said, every second of that fight from beginning to end. And it doesn't even look like he's breaking a sweat.
Do me a favor, Dave. Go to his record. I want to see I know he's got a couple losses. 2 losses. He's got one against Kevin Holland and one against Marcus Perez. Okay. Both. Wow. I want to see a rematch because he got submitted by an anaconda choke, and then that would be interesting to see that again. He's good. He's got a win against Brendan Allen at LFA.
Wow.
I look forward to just watching him fight from that, from this point forward, see where he can go because his team's got him going. He's doing the right things. I'd like to see him fight just a little bit more often. Just a little bit.
Yeah, well, he's coming off that injury.
What injury?
He was out. Yeah, he was out for a long time. They said they were talking about last night. I don't know which injury it was, but I think they were saying he's coming off that injury after the Adolfo Vieira fight. They said that he had a long layoff after he got the win. And then I think
Must
it was
have
after
been between the last fight. And
it was
the
in
fight
between
Rodolfo, you were saying.
Yeah. So the Josh whatever he ended up getting injured and he was out for a while. Maybe you can look that up, see what he was hurt from, Dave. Great performance, great job by him. He did a fantastic job of just controlling every position, every second of the fight. I'm not really sure. Like if we were to pull up, we're in that 185-pound division though. Where do you see him going?
It's a rough one as far as exactly where do you think he's at. If we take a look at the lineup there's a lot of guys that you could look and say he could fight with anybody. Not there's certain guys right now that I don't want to say that he can fight with anybody in the top 10, but when you're getting down towards the 8, 9, 10, I do think that he can. I think he's right there with it, and so it's a matter of you got Hermanson submission wise. On the ground wise, I think they match up well with Jack Hermanson. You got Darren Till, does not want to go to the ground with him. And in the stand-up, I tell you what, Anthony could be in the stand-up with him for a while. The one guy in Andre Muniz, he's trouble. That dude has got a really good ground game also. But I just look and I think he could be, in that whole, section. We just watched Imavov get a good win But we saw that, you know what, he got tired against Joaquin Buckley. You know, how would Anthony Hernandez, who pushes the pace, who's got a lot of pressure, who's really good on the ground too, how would he do it, you know, against someone like Imavov? I'd like to know.
Yeah. I would say Derek Brunson would be a good matchup for him, but the rest of the fighters in there would not be a good matchup after that. And that's how, so then once you get up there, where are you going to go? So I don't want to throw him there, but I think Darren Brunson, because he has a tendency to get really tired, that might be a good fight. If he could survive, which we know he can survive probably the first 2.5, 3 minutes, he's going to start to take that fight over, I think. And nothing against Derek Brunson, but his Achilles heel has always been his cardio. Like as the fight goes on, he tends to slow down and he tends to take a shot or two that he just shouldn't take, and then he tends to slow down. Derek Brunson's still a dog. He's still one of the best in the game. There's no doubt about it. But if I scroll all the way down, I mean, I got to be honest, I would put him probably somewhere in that Brad Tavares, you know, Chris Curtis, Duplessis.
Yeah,
Those would be some good fights.
If you look and you say, could he beat Chris Curtis? Yeah, no, the action man could beat him too, but Chris Curtis is a good fighter, but he definitely can fight with him. He can fight with Brad Tavares. He can fight with Duplessis. I think he can fight with Imavov. You know, it's in that, you know, top 15. You go to those numbers, and that I think, you know, he's right there.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's in that top mix there. I'm not really sure I want to give him Imavov, to be honest. I think I'd probably keep him away from him right now. And I know that Kelvin Gastelum's on his road to recovery with the knee.
Yeah.
He's looking good. I saw some videos of him the other day, doing his walking, doing his push sled, his stuff like that on the machines. So he's getting back. I'm excited to watch him fight again, man. I really like that kid. Super nice kid. Like always very respectful.
He's my Roberto Duran of MMA, man. I love him.
He's such a fucking good person, though, too. I mean, I had a chance a couple of times to talk with him, and then one time, the last time out in Phoenix when we did Bellator out there, and he was there. He's just so fucking nice.
Yeah, great.
You know, just not a clout chaser, just someone that wants to be around, just kind of loves the sport, and just likes it. He's just a great person. Can't say enough about him. So, wishing him a speedy recovery, Kelvin Gastelum. Speedy recovery, my man. What other fights on here you want to talk about, buddy?
I don't want to talk about Trevin Giles and Louis Cosa. Man, for a while, they didn't touch each other for the first 2 minutes of the first round. That was just bad. And then eventually, Trevin Giles started getting a little bit better. In the third round, Louis Cosa took him down, wasn't able to do anything with him. But whoever made it 30-27 for Trevin Giles, what are you looking at in that third round? Come on.
I don't know, man.
Crazy. But I do want to say that, and it's different name as far as, you know, Lukumbin is what is up there when we look at it up here.
It's Boume or whatever.
Boume, yeah, dude. Yeah. She's a goer, man. Yeah. But up here it's Supasara against Denise Gomes. That was a good fight.
It was a really good fight.
They were going after each other.
I don't know if there is another, outside of maybe Ronda Rousey when she was around, that has a better head and arm throw. She was hitting her with that sag on that head and arm. There's a difference between you guys from a throw, which Ronda would hit you with a throw. Boume was hitting you more with like the sag. She'd grab and she would try and throw you, but she would sag you down to your hip. That's a beautiful little technique. But what I love the most about her, to be honest, which is the most underutilized takedown in the game right now, is the foot sweeps.
Oh, yeah.
Anytime you get into a clinch.
Got all those Thai foot sweeps.
Yes. Anytime you get into a clinch, pull on the lat, hit the foot sweep. If you don't get it, at least it puts them out of position to try and hip into them and run them over. I kick myself in the ass every single time I go back and look at some of my fights in my career, and I'm like, damn, you could have hit it there. You could have hit it there. I mean, I know I had that
It takes very little energy to do. Yeah. Even if your opponent is able to pop right back up, they have to pop back up. That's energy in getting themselves back to their feet. It's a great technique.
Because if you can hit them, boom, with the foot sweep, they hit to a knee, and as they come up, you catch them with the same leg you try to foot sweep them with. You hit them with the knee up the middle to the face. Beautifully done, like all those type of things. She made it look super easy every time she did it. I was like, holy shit. And she's got the best foot sweep, I think, in the game right now. And then her head and arm throws. And she ended up on top. Now, I'm not a big fan of the head and arm throw because you give your back.
Yep.
But she found a way to come on top every single time. You know, with the judo players, right? They have the way of just controlling that position and being able to get the squeeze and sometimes getting the tap from there.
That's because they're so good at getting the back flat. Instead of allowing the person to get to their side, which is going to be a completely different position, you keep the fighter with their back and their shoulders flat on the ground in that Kizakatami. It's a completely, you can't bring the leg over. It's a completely different situation. So, there's levels to everything. When you watch a Kayla Harrison and she does a Kizakatami, it's not easy. I love when people say, "Oh, all you have to do is try it against her. Try it." Completely
right.
different.
All you have to do. There was a guy, I can't remember. We went through this, I think, a while back. He was a judo guy that came off of Josh Koscheck's Ultimate Fighter. Gosh, he was a judo guy. God, what was his name? He had a really, I think he used to train with Carl Parisian and those guys. Gosh, I can't remember his name. Anyways, Savak. Yep, Savak. That guy was so damn talented.
Who he was.
And fucking strong.
Yeah.
He would grab you and you're like, holy shit.
It would be SEVAK
something, Savak, yeah. Yeah, he was good, man. He was good. He came and trained with us, and he just didn't like to do cardio, but he was good. He was foot sweeps, throws, all of that. He was a stud. But yeah, I wonder whatever happened to him. We had him for like, I think 1 or 2 fights, and then I don't know whatever happened to him. He kept getting hurt. He was hurt all the time. But he was a stud guy. Yep. But he was tapping guys when he first came to AKA. He was tapping guys with that, where he would just squeeze you, get in that head and arm choke, and he would just squeeze you. And I was like, holy shit. He got me there a couple of times. Didn't catch me, but I was gurgling. You just can't, once you let your air out, you can't breathe back in.
That's it.
And so as you're holding your breath,
that pressure.
Yeah, he's squeezing. You got to just see if you can hold your breath longer than he can squeeze. Majority of the time it didn't work out so well. So,
yeah.
But yeah, you just fight your way through it. But he was a stud, man.
Savak was one of those guys out of the Carl Parisian, Manny Gamburian, Gene LaBelle with, the Hayastan was the school that they're all from. And that was Gokar Chavikian was the main guy there. He was their their trainer. So,
gosh, man, it's giving me flashback to the old school days. Any other fights on these prelims that you made me go all the way back and watch that really weren't worth it? I said, look, John. I asked John. Wait, we're gonna tell this story. I asked John, hey John, because I was out at a soccer game until the Boumé
soccer
fight.
With your son. Soccer with your son. You gotta tell him.
I come back, I get there, and it's the Boumé fight's going on. I'm like, hey, what other fights are on the prelims before this? I only missed a couple. He's like, man, I'm tired of this. He's like, fucking John sends a text. I'm tired of this. Go back and watch the fucking fights. I'm not gonna tell you what happened, and then you're just gonna use what I said in the show. I'm like, I go back and watch these fights, and I'm like, fucking John, I knew they sucked. They all sucked. They were so boring. All of them.
Hold on. You have to admit, on the text, I did say, okay, I can't stop laughing.
I was just like, this fucking guy. I'm like, this mother. So I go back and watch him. I am glad that I saw the very first opening fight because Mota looked good. For the shorter, smaller guy, he threw everything with precision. He was coming forward. He moved his head offline when he threw. Yep. His opponent was not very smart. He kept leaning back with his head. Wasn't technical. He just kept thinking that his height was going to get him out of trouble, and that didn't work. And so Mota, though, did a great job of keeping tight with his defense and moving his head slightly left and right and moving it offline and throwing big combinations. And he eventually caught him. As the mouse was playing with the cat, he eventually was able to get it within range and slid right inside that pocket and landed a clean shot. Beautifully done. Just great job by him. I got to give him some love because he fought a great fight. John liked another fight, which I wasn't too high on. I thought it was a good performance, but I was like, it was kind of after the first 2 minutes. Yeah. I think Basharat or whatever took over. Yeah, he took over.
He did, but there's things that happen in fights, and all the time where you end up having to overcome things that you personally feel like, hey, I'm being fouled here. This is not right, and it starts to mentally take over. and you start to not fight the way you're supposed to fight. And I thought that started to happen for Javid, and I thought he got himself back, and I thought that showed a lot of, showed a lot of maturity as a fighter, and because he's going against a tough guy in Tony Gravely, a guy that is a tough matchup for him, and I thought he did a nice job of getting the fight. And then the other one that I wanted to talk about was Jillian Robertson against Agapova, and in that one, Good job by Jillian. And I thought that Jillian was going to win the fight. I thought her ground was too much. I knew that they had trained together before, but it does go to show you, when fighters will get it in their mind, oh, I've trained with you. Oh, I can just do what I want with you on the ground. It's different when you fight. You can't put yourself into these same positions and stuff and let someone elbow you in the head. It is a fight. It's not training. Nice win by Jillian Robertson. Nice job by Agapova. Never gave in, never gave up. She went out, but good win by Jillian Robertson.
She was obviously the lot smaller fighter. She should maybe think about going to 15. That might be a good choice for her. She can make the weight without killing herself. She's also talked about it, apparently. I think I was listening to DC or someone, or I think Paul said that she is kind of contemplating it right now. She had a good performance. She is a lot smaller than Agapova or Agapova or whatever you want to say.
I'm going Agapova. I don't care.
Okay, Agapova.
Agapova.
She is nasty good on the ground. Very tricky on the ground. Yeah. Like, not Agapova, but
Jillian Robertson.
Jillian Robertson. She did a great job, man. Great job. I get a little weirded out sometimes when I see someone come in with all red. Her hair was red. Her shorts were red.
She does it. That's her thing.
It's like watching the Seattle Seahawks and their fucking lime green. Fucking. I'm like, dude. I kind of don't mind them, but when you're looking back from far, you're like,
too much.
Those are a little too much sometimes. A little too much. Yeah. I'm getting flashbacks of me with my fucking rainbow hair. Jesus, man, a little bit too much. I go back sometimes.
Who talked you into that?
I was like, God, what were you thinking? Jesus, man, fucking dummy. The best thing is you can look back and laugh at yourself. And that's one thing I'm very good at. It's looking back and laughing at myself. There was something else. Who else was it? Bashra. Let's see. No, that's it. That's pretty much sums it all up. But overall, good night. It was a decent night of fights. I felt like it could have been some better ones, but there were some fights. Like you said, the Giles fight. Like, come on, man. Do something in the first round. That one was not good. Yeah. It was just crowd.
And it's weird. You'll get one fight like that, and you can have a bunch of really kind of exciting fights. And look at the Chidi Njokuani Rodriguez fight. Exciting. I thought the Cory Sandhagen and Yadong Song fight, really good, really technical, a lot of good stuff going on. And you can have just those periodic fights in between that kind of make everything feel like it slows way down. Oh, God damn. When actually there was a lot of good fights.
Speaking of fights that make you slow way down, let's talk about Triple G and Canelo Alvarez.
Let's not.
John, I really wanted to see a great fight, and I wish we could have got the first 8 rounds, like how we got rounds 9, 10, and 11. And not just because I had Triple G winning 9, 10, and 11. That's all I had him winning. So I don't know what the judges were saying. They had him losing by 1 round. Two judges had him losing by 1 round.
115, 113.
What fucking fight were you watching? Like, when you knew it was bad, when the judges. Or not the judges, when Triple G's corner basically gave up on him after the 8th round.
Dude, he's telling him, all right, we got to change this up. Okay, no, I need you to do this. He's telling him, you're not fighting. You're losing these. Yeah. No, not according to the judges. I gave him 2 rounds. Yeah. I gave him, I think, I gave him the 9th and the 11th.
Yeah, I gave him 9, 10, 11, and I don't know, maybe the 10th was some of that feeling of like, oh, he's going now. Finally, I'm just going to give him 10. That's kind of
he didn't throw.
You got to pull the trigger if you want to win the fight, man. You've got to pull the trigger, and you would think though too for 2 fighters that have already fought, that they understand each other's speed, they understand each other's power. Normally you get like the best fight in the second and the third fight because they already know each other.
Yeah,
they've already spent 12 rounds together. They know what each is capable of. But what I saw last night was that Triple G forgot how fast or how technical that Canelo was. The speed was a real huge factor in that fight. you could tell that Triple G just did not want to throw in those first 5 rounds, 6 rounds. He started throwing 1 or 2 more things in the 7th and 8th, but it still was nowhere near what he needed to throw like he did in the 8th and the 9th and the 10th and 11th.
He was getting hit by that left hook repeatedly. And
from far away, John.
He didn't. I know, it's like he couldn't see it coming. And I don't know. I thought the scoring in this was reminiscent of their first fight, because the scoring in their first fight, Triple G won that fight. It wasn't close. And this one, it wasn't close. Yeah. At least the right guy won.
This is true. I mean, it's frustrating because boxing can be so great, and then you have, they could have just rode off into the sunset and be like, look, it was a dominant performance by Canelo. He ran away with this, and the judges could have verified it. We could have moved on. And now it's just like, it's the stigma of corrupt boxing or just what they wanted to happen. It just was a shit situation. But I want to get into something else though. What'd you think of the overall? Because this is the first time, I think, not the first time. This Canelo's back now, not fully, I think, with DAZN, but DAZN's kind of making a little bit of a comeback now, trying to sign these big fights. What'd you think of the not performance, but of the production? I thought the ring announcer was a little over the top, but it was good, I think, to kind of mix it up. I thought it was kind of good to mix it up. Look, we've had the
He has not cut his hair since he was 12.
Probably not. Probably not. He probably hasn't washed it either since he was 12.
Oh, there you go, too.
But look, I got to be honest.
He's not bad.
It was kind of a little different of a flair, and I kind of liked it a little bit. As in the beginning, I was like, all right, this guy's a little over the top. It's too much. But as it went on, when he was introducing Canelo and he was giving out all the names and he was the way he was saying it and Canelo was shaking his head, I was like, oh, we're onto something. I felt like I was watching Apollo Creed and Rocky when they were announcing Apollo Creed's all of his nicknames.
Yeah.
It was great.
He did, because he went through about 12 variations of names until he finally got to Sal Alvarez.
Yeah. Yes.
It's like,
hey, but
it was good. It was
the
good.
way that they started off on the ring announcer, but then they panned over to Canelo, and Canelo, as they started going through the names, he started shaking his head. Yeah. And he just started getting more into it. He started getting more fired up, and I was like, okay, now I feel this. I'm feeling the energy. I feel like I'm in the ring right now with Canelo. And I thought in the beginning, I was like, now as it was going on, I'm like, all right. And then when the fight started, I was like, let's go. I was ready to go. So I think because we have been stuck, combat sports have been stuck with the same type of ring announcers, the same type of, it was nice to have something a little bit refreshing. It was different. And I think DAZN did a good job of really putting this production together. I will say this though. It's always driven me nuts about boxing. There is such a long is your little baby boy?
Yeah, he ain't he's still a baby, but he ain't little.
No, he ain't little no more.
No.
But the thing that drives me nuts about boxing is there's such a lag from the co-main event to the main event.
Oh,
with the walkouts.
Dude, thank you very much. Forever.
16 national anthems. Like it's getting out of hand, man. The co-main event ended by 9:00. I don't think this fight started till 9:45. It was something ridiculous, man.
9:45 your time. It started at 12.
Yeah,
time.
12 something. Yeah, it was a long time. I was like, damn, this is fucking taking forever. Yeah. And then when you have a snooze fest a little bit, the first 7 rounds,
that's where I was like, oh, why are you doing this to me? Come on. Yeah. I need something better, but I do like what you're talking about. There's too many. We see now. Everyone is if you're MMA, you're the copycat of Bruce Buffer. And all these announcers are trying to be Bruce. They're trying to do the same thing. Obviously, there's ones that have been there for a long time that they do their own thing, but the new ones, they're trying to be Bruce. This guy, he's not trying to be Buffer, as far as Michael Buffer. He's doing his own thing, and I actually liked when he announced Canelo. I thought it was good, and I saw the same thing. Canelo liked it, and so I thought DAZN overall did a good job with it. I thought it was, their commentary was a little slanted. It was slanted towards Canelo, no doubt about it. But that's you're going to get that, when that's their guy right now, and that's the one they're trying to.
Yeah, but John kind of had to be slanted. He was kind of dominating the fight. It had to be slanted a little bit.
It was
Are you
slanted
talking about
even
the
before.
lead up to it? Oh, before.
It was slanted
before the fight. Yeah, I wasn't paying attention to the commentary, but up until the fight started.
Yeah. But,
yeah. I mean, yeah, overall, it was, I thought the production was pretty good. I thought Triple G, he looked slow. The output wasn't there.
He looked 40.
I think he looked 40. And that's the other thing, too, is he did. He looked 40. He didn't have, if you're going to fight, I think, in boxing into your 40s, you got to take that Bernard Hopkins approach of punch, punch, clinch, punch, punch, clinch, which makes for a boring fight, but it also makes for a boring fight when you're not throwing punches. At least Bernard would throw and then clinch, which usually slowed his opponents down to his level, and then he could finally start trying to land clean shots. If Triple G is going to continue to fight, he's going to probably have to start to fight that way. But I think it's going to be hard for him to get away from fighting the way he's fought his whole career, which was stand right there in front of you, move a little bit offline, and land big body shots, and then come back up top to the head. He just didn't have the speed to go to the body. He knew he was going to get countered, and the counter would have probably put him to sleep.
Yep.
So overall, though, I mean, like, I'm glad he made a little bit more of a run towards the end, but I mean, he's it's sad to see like someone that I've always loved watching him fight. When he'd always come out and fight in the powder blues, he'd come out and fight in his powder blue shorts, with powder blue gloves. I fucking loved it, man. But
look, he's been a great fighter. He was a great champion. It's just, it comes down to how many times do we have to say it, and we will say it for eternity when it comes to combat. Father Time's undefeated, and he takes things away from you where you just cannot perform at the level that you once did. And that's,
Well, how many of you guys remember Costa Tszyu? Never fought again after Ricky Hatton.
Dude.
But it was like he was getting older. I don't think he was 4. He wasn't 40.
Costa Tszyu was a fucking exterminator, man. He was killing people.
Just mauling through people, just fucking them up, walking them down, touching them up. But then that one fight in Manchester, I think it was in Manchester, he never fought again.
I remember watching that fight, and I was amazed. I knew who Ricky Hatton was. I'd watched him fight. I thought it was going to be a good fight. I probably thought that Costa Tszyu in the end was the better fighter, and I watched Ricky Hatton just dismantle him.
Yeah, just walked him down, touched him up piece by piece. Man, I mean, I didn't expect that, man. I was watching that fight going, throw. Costa Tszyu wasn't throwing. He was getting beat to the punch. He was getting hit to the body. He was getting pushed around. I was like, what is going on? Really? This is not happening. And it happens. It happens to every boxer as they get older. The younger talent, especially in those lower weight classes, the younger talent starts to take over with the speed. You could tell Costa Tszyu was having a hard time, just I think a little bit with the speed, but the body shots started to have an effect, and he just started losing. Never fought again after that. Yeah. So now we call him Ricky Fatton.
No, haven't you ever seen Ricky? Have you seen Ricky lately?
No, I haven't seen him lately.
He got back into fighting shape.
Oh, really?
He's gonna fight.
Jesus. That
Dude,
guy,
he looks good.
I saw a docu. I think I saw a quick little docu-series on him, and they were talking about him in at the pub, just being, probably about 225.
Oh yeah, he was up there.
He was oh man. All right, Dave, what do you got for us? Any news?
All right, yeah, we got some fight announcements to talk about. So Bryce Mitchell takes on undefeated Movsar Evloev.
Evloev this is a great matchup, and I believe both guys are undefeated, right?
I think so.
Yeah, Movsar is undefeated. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Does Bryce have a loss? I thought Bryce was undefeated.
I think he's undefeated too. I think he's 11-0 or something.
No, I want to say 15-0 or something like that.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, 15-0. You're right.
Okay, so then Evloev is 11-0.
See, we needed that one on tail of the tape. I would have gotten his record right, 15-0.
Yeah.
It just tells me he's undefeated here. I'll pull him up right here.
Evloev. Yeah.
It's like, I want to say a 13. 16.
Oh, okay. 16-0. Great. Sucks when someone's always got to go.
No, it doesn't. I love it. I love that. Especially when I know they've been fighting tough people.
What do you think?
Man, I'll tell you what. Look, wrestling goes to Evloev, no doubt about it. Submission wise, it's got to go to Thug Nasty. So it's a matter of on the feet, who's the cleaner guy? Evloev.
Yes.
He's the cleaner fighter by far. So does he try to keep it on the feet and just slowly wear Bryce Mitchell down and keep Bryce Mitchell out of where he's the best? And that's in his submission game.
But does Bryce Mitchell push the pace so much that it slows Evloev down?
Good.
Because Bryce he's gonna walk him down. He's gonna try to wrestle him. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't matter what we think.
No,
Evloev
he's gonna
is
go
the better wrestler. He's gonna try to wrestle him and take him down.
And he should.
Yeah.
And he should. You know, I'm not saying anything about and the last thing that we saw out of Bryce Mitchell though is, look, he had power in his hands. In his last fight, he did damage with his hands. Mm-hmm. And so he's getting better when it comes to the stand-up game. We already know that his ground game is fantastic. This is a great matchup. It's one of those, I think Evloev might be the favorite, but it's going to be by this much if he is.
Well, I guess we'll have to find out at mybookie.ag.
There you go.
There was another fight that was announced. Go ahead. There was the Arnold Allen fight.
Oh,
there
against
we go.
Calvin Kattar. Dun, dun, dun. This is a great matchup.
It is a great matchup. I think Calvin Kattar has been looking better since his loss to Max. But I don't think he's back to what he was before Max. And so I think that Arnold Allen right now he's obviously riding the highs and he's a stud, man. I don't think people are giving him enough credit. People are overlooking him. He's like a name that's kind of lost in the shuffle a little bit.
Boy, he is lost in the shuffle.
It's like they're not propping him up enough. They're not giving him the love that he deserves. He's
That's because of his personality.
Yeah.
They look at him as like, oh, he's a white towel. Which
is weird.
He's plain.
But people give Calvin Kattar so much. Calvin Kattar's he's a great fighter. He's a fantastic fighter. But they gave him a lot of love because of his fight with Zabit. And then after that, he did well. And then he lost to Max and he came back. Now he's making his run back. He's doing well. But Arnold Allen is I feel like he is someone that just doesn't get the love because of, like you said, he doesn't talk a whole lot. But he hasn't had a dominant, significant win or given somebody at the top 2 or 3 that test. They hasn't really pushed someone to where like, oh shit, people want to pay attention to you.
Yeah.
And so when you look at him, like, he doesn't look like much when you look at him. You see him and you're like, the guy with no tan. Okay. Like, like that's what you're thinking, right?
There's not a lot of sun.
The sun never comes out. I get it. But that's what people are thinking. Like, oh, the really like pasty white guy. He's sure he looks talented.
When you talk about some of the names that he has beaten, Dave, pull up his record. Pull up Arnold Allen's record because there's some names on there people will recognize. Mm-hmm. He just got them at a point where a little bit early for them to realize how good the guys he was beating were.
John, look at that face though. Like, that's not somebody I'd be afraid of. I'd see you at a bar and be like, I'm gonna fuck you up. Like, fuck you.
So
no way, man.
Take a look at his last win was Dan Hooker. Before that, Yusuf.
Yep.
Good fighter. Everyone's seen him fight, right? Nick Lentz, tough son of a bitch. Gilbert Melendez, right? I mean, Mads Burnell, Americani. He's got some good wins in there, man. I mean, Jordan Rinaldi, just the guy. Keep going. Scroll that up.
Americani.
That's what I said. Americani in there.
Oh, they said George Rinaldi because there's a Rinaldi up there too.
No, there is. Yeah, no, he beat Jordan Rinaldi, but I mean, he's got some big wins. He's a good fighter, man.
Yeah.
You've seen Alan O'Meara. We watched him. He's a good fighter, tough dude. I don't know. I think Calvin has fought the higher level overall.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. But this is a tight matchup.
Anybody that's fought Max Holloway has fought the higher level. Like, you got Max, you got Volk. I mean, that's pretty much sums up your weight class right there. Those two guys.
That does.
So yeah. I think it's gonna be a tough fight. I think Arnold right now is gonna be the guy he's like you said. like I said, he's riding on a high. He's been unstoppable. He's coming forward. He's gonna come out and implement his game plan. Well, I think Calvin Kattar still has a little bit of that doubt in his head. He's still trying to evolve his game. He's still trying to change a couple little tweaks here and there just from his fight from Max. It's still in your mind. 2 wins after 2 wins doesn't get you back on track. It's going to take another run of 3, 4 wins, 5 wins to get you to start feeling like, okay, look, I can get that title shot now. I start feeling like I should be getting close to it. He's still, there's still a little bit in him that's like, okay, what do I got to make? What do I got to do to change this up a little bit to not, so this doesn't happen to me again from the Max fight? I think this is going to be a good fight. It's going to be a good fight. I'm going to lean towards Arnold Allen off of confidence mainly. Calvin Kattar is a great fighter. I'm not trying to knock him or take anything away from him. I love watching him fight, but I'm going to lean towards Arnold Allen because, like I said, he doesn't get the respect he deserves either.
I will give you, I think that Arnold Allen is the more, especially the way he fights, he uses more tools. The more complete fighter. Not that Calvin Kattar cannot do the things. He likes to be in the stand-up. He likes to stand up. He likes to throw down. That's where he's most comfortable. He likes his boxing. I think Allen utilizes more of the tools available to him in MMA. But I'm telling you right now, okay, you go with Allen, and I understand why. I'll take Kattar because I think it's that close.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
So, it'll be a good fight. I'm looking forward to it.
Really? I'm going to go with Arnold. You're going to take Kattar?
I'll take Kattar.
I think Kattar gets stuck.
I think it's close. That's why.
Yeah, I think Kattar gets stuck in just boxing.
He might
utilize his kicks a little bit more.
But Arnold Allen is a decision machine. He doesn't finish a lot of people. He gets a lot of decisions.
Is this a main event? Is this a main event?
Yeah, it's the week after Islam and Oliveira.
Gotcha. So, I mean, if I'm looking, if it's a main event, 5 rounds, I'm going to still go with Arnold Allen. I think a couple takedowns, I think a couple mixing it up. I think.
See, I'm going the whole thing you just said. 5 rounds. That's why I'm going with Calvin Kattar.
Yeah, I would have. Yeah, I was leaning that. I started thinking like 5 rounds, Calvin Kattar, because of the 5 rounds. But we'll see. I guess we'll see there, buddy. I guess we'll see.
It's a good one. I like that.
The other fight interests me a little bit more though. The Bryce Mitchell fight.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a good fight.
That's a good fight.
Is that a main event also or no?
I hope so.
I don't think it's been confirmed yet. It's November 5th. There's no pay-per-view because the pay-per-view is the 12th, I think, and that's a Madison Square Garden one. So but you'd think that he would be. Bryce Mitchell's always on the pay-per-view, so you'd think that he would be on there.
It says he's on November 5th. That is the pay-per-view.
Is that the pay-per-view?
Oh no! It says Las Vegas Fight Night.
Yeah, Las Vegas.
You're right.
So then it's going to be a 5-round main event. Well, it
doesn't say main event, so you don't know yet.
Huh? Interesting. All right, what else you got for us, Dave?
All right, we'll wrap up on this one. We had a rebooking of a fight. We've already talked kind of about the fight and stuff, so just kind of get your thoughts on the rebooking. It's right at the end of the year, and kind of where does this put these guys?
This is one of those fights that we looked at. I think we both think this is going to be a really good matchup. Both in the stand-up, like to stand. Cannonier against Strickland. Strickland had the finger injury. He had an infection in his fingers, so he wasn't able to hold on to the first date, but they brought it right back. And I think they're bringing it right back because this is the blueprint for the UFC when it comes to their top guys coming off of losses. They want to get either Cannonier back in the win column or get Strickland back in the win column so then they can bring them back into the fold. And the other one that they'll, just let go down and give him another fight later on. But this is a good matchup. Cannonier very strong. He can't, Strickland doesn't get credit for being as good on the ground as he actually is. He's a good anti-wrestler. He's good. He's very tough to take down. And when he gets on the ground, he's not bad on the ground. On the ground, I think he's actually better than Cannonier. Now, Cannonier could do ground and pound against him and do well in that situation. But in the stand-up, they're both come-forward guys. And the guy that is moving backwards is going to have problems, and I think that Strickland is going to end up backing up Cannonier more than Cannonier backs up Strickland.
Yeah, I would agree that Strickland's probably going to be able to walk him down and touch him, but I think I'm going to give Cannonier the more power.
Yep,
and
I agree.
And if Strickland is coming off that knockout loss, a lot of it is a mindset.
He don't care.
I know he doesn't care. I know, but a lot of it is a mindset. As soon as you get touched in the chin and you feel a little wobbly at all, you start second guessing and you start backing up. You start backing up and you stop fighting the way that you were fighting. You know, they got you all those wins. So true. Cannonier coming off of his loss, look at who he lost to.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it's like when I look at that way and I look at who he lost to there, for Cannonier, it's a little bit of a different story. It's like, hey, I can still do this. I can still hang. I can still push the pace. I can do all these things. Whereas Strickland, I don't know what kind of person he is. He seems like a total knucklehead. But he's someone that I don't think he really doubts himself. I think he believes in whatever it is he's going to do. He's going to go out there and do it. Just that knucklehead mentality. I'm going to go out there and just do this and see what happens. You know, but at the end of the day, I think Cannonier is going to be a very tough fight for him. It's going to be a very tough fight for him because if he keeps walking him forward and Cannonier lands a big shot, Cannonier's going to finish him. Jump on top and finish him. But I mean, I agree with you though, John. This should favor Strickland. Just to be honest, it should favor Strickland because the anti-wrestling, I think a little bit of the height is going to go to Strickland as well. Maybe I wouldn't say the strength, but I think just some of the stand up and the technique. Cannonier's going to throw like more loopy shots. Strickland's going to throw the jabs, going to stay right in his face, touch and try to land the clean shots. That way. So that might be his road to success. I guess we'll see. All right. Well, hey, that's going to wrap up our talk for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Go to weighinginpodcast.com. Pick up some of our merch. We got a coffee mug, a couple of shirts, sweaters, hoodies. Winter is coming. I mean, fall is pretty much here already. I mean, I walk outside. There's leaves everywhere. So it's about to start getting cold. Big John's already wearing a hoodie himself. So let's go ahead and pick up one of our hoodies at weighinginpodcast.com. Anything else there, Big John?
Nope. For everyone out there, man, hope you had a good time watching the fights like we did. Another week coming up. No UFC coming up in this next week.
I'm never going to forgive you for you making me watch those first 3 fights, you fucker.
I was like, God. I got to screw with him. I got to do it. I'm sorry. It was cruel, I admit. But you know what? Now you can say that you watched the whole show.
Misery
Feel
loves
good
company.
about yourself.
Misery loves company.
For everyone out there, thank you for tuning in. Be good to someone. Do something good for someone just because you can. It's going to make you a better person and make them feel good. And we will see you.